Hello guys and welcome to another video from your favorite broken English guy. In today's video I'm going to rank all 5 helmets in Stalker Call of Pripyat. Some of you wanted to see this video even though I didn't plan to make it, but why should I reject a video suggestion from my community? It's important to mention that this ranking is mostly subjective and based on my personal opinion, so if you disagree with my ranking, feel free to share your own opinion in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Almost 90% of my viewers are not subscribed and it would really help a small content creator like me to grow. So now I have talked enough and let's get started. At number 5 we have the gas mask. It is the headgear you spawn with and it offers good protection when exploring chemical anomalies thanks to its chemical resistance stat of 26.5% without any upgrades. It also provides around 20% psi protection, but let's be honest, when do you really need psi protection? Maybe when you are trying to get an artifact from the psi field anomaly in Saturn, or when you are fighting a controller, but controllers can usually be killed within 5 to 10 seconds, making psi protections not that important in most situations. You can increase the psi protection by another 10% with the first upgrade, after giving Cardon the basic tools from the sawmill in Saturn. However, as I already mentioned, that's not a particularly useful bonus. Later in the game, after finding the fine tools, you will be able to choose between 20% more chemical protection or 20% more radiation protection. But at that stage of the game, I don't think either upgrade makes the gas mask particularly relevant anymore. Nevertheless, regardless which upgrade path you choose, it will only cost you 600 rubles to fully upgrade the gas mask. In my opinion, the gas mask is a solid choice for hunting artifacts and chemical anomalies during the early game, but that's about it. At number 4 we have the steel helmet. To be honest with you guys, I seriously underrated this helmet for a very long time. It starts off with an unnecessarily high amount of psi protection at over 40%. Apart from that, it offers a crazy amount of armor for a helmet that you can buy right at the start of the game from ASUS. The steel helmet really begins to shine with the first upgrades you can install after finding the basic tools for Cardon. The first and most important upgrade increases both chemical and radiation protection by 10%. With this upgrade you will have 5% more radiation protection than the gas mask, while only having 15% less chemical protection. The other tier 1 upgrade gives you a first generation night vision device, which is honestly terrible. So I would save those 1250 rubles and spend them on something else. The tier 2 upgrades, which require the fine tools, let you choose between 20% more psi protection or 20% more radiation protection. Since this helmet already has more than enough psi protection, I would definitely choose the radiation protection upgrade. If you follow my recommended upgrade path, you will spend a total of 750 rubles upgrading the steel helmet. And here comes my conclusion. I would basically replace the gas mask with the steel helmet as soon as you get the basic tools from the sawmill at the beginning of your playthrough. Install the first upgrade and only switch back to the gas mask when you are specifically hunting artifacts and chemical anomalies. Other than that, just stick with the steel helmet until you get access to a better option. At number 3 we have the screen helmet. Has anyone actually ever used this helmet? It offers an insane amount of psi protection, almost 60% without any upgrades. Its chemical protection is also pretty good at around 26%. The radiation protection is close to 9% and the damage protection is solid as well at roughly 16%. In many ways it's basically an upgraded version of the steel helmet. If we take a look at the upgrades, we have 2 upgrade branches. Let's start with the first branch. The tier 1 upgrade, which requires the basic tools, increases your psi protection by another 10%. For the tier 2 upgrade, you can choose between 20% more chemical protection or 20% more radiation protection. And also don't forget that your technician needs tools for fine work to install tier 2 upgrades. It's also important to mention that your tier 3 upgrade depends on which tier 2 upgrade you you choose. If you pick the 20% chemical protection upgrade, you will unlock a tier 3 upgrade that grants you 30% thermal and electrical protection. However, if you choose the 20% radiation protection, you unlock the 30% mob psi protection upgrade. What's special about these tier 3 upgrades is that only Novikov in the scientist bunker near of the Yanov station can install them. Now let's take a look at the second branch. There isn't nearly as much to talk about here. The tier 1 upgrade increases both chemical and radiation protection by 10%. The tier 2 upgrade adds another 10% psi protection, while the tier 3 upgrade improves energy recovery by 4 points. But for this tier 3 upgrade you need the calibration tools from Pripyat, which means that you only get access to it near the end of the game. My main problem with the screen helmet is that you only obtain it very late in the game, and usually when better alternatives are already available. To buy the screen helmet from ASUS, you will need either the One of Hours achievement or the boss achievement by completing the Skadov's questline for either Beard or Sultan. But that's not the only way to get the screen helmet. You can also earn the Friend of Freedom achievement by siding with Freedom and then purchase the helmet from Hawaiian. But there's also a free way to obtain this helmet. You need to complete the Intermittent Psi mission and Anomaly Research quest, which is part of the Scientist questline, without a single casualty, and then later receive the helmet by Topol. And that's exactly why I think this helmet gets overshadowed by another option on this list, one that you can obtain even earlier. Before I forget, here are my recommended upgrade choices. With them installed, you will end up with around 80% Psi protection, nearly 20% radiation protection, around 56 chemical protection, 30% thermal and electrical protection, improved energy recovery, and roughly 15% armor. The downside of the screen helmet is that the armor value isn't particularly impressive, making this helmet less suitable for combat. However, it's excellent for artifact hunting and might even be the best helmet in the game for that specific purpose. Fully upgrading the screen helmet will cost around 4,700 rubles, considering how late in the game you will acquire it. But honestly, once you have reached Pripyat and obtained the calibration tools, I wouldn't even consider using this helmet anymore, because at that point of the game there are simply better alternatives available. At number 2, we have the S.T.A.L.K.E.R M12 helmet. There are two ways to obtain this helmet. The earliest way is similar to the screen helmet: earn either the boss or the One of Hours achievement and buy it from ASUS, or get the Friend of Duty achievement by siding with Duty and then purchase it from Hawaiian. The other option is simply to progress to Pripyat and get it there for free. One of the reasons I absolutely love this helmet is the way it looks. I just cannot resist that military bullet drip. On top of that, it offers an insane armor rating of around 65%, which is the highest armor value of any helmet in the game. There's also some chemical and radiation protection and 50% psi protection. Now let's take a look at the upgrades. And again, there are two upgrade branches. In the first branch, the tier 1 upgrade increases both chemical and radiation protection by 10%. For the tier 2 upgrade, you can choose between 20% additional psi protection or 20% chemical protection. Personally, I would always go with the chemical protection upgrade. You just simply don't need that much psi protection. The tier 3 upgrade increases both chemical and radiation protection by another 20%, but this upgrade can only be installed by Novikov. The second upgrade branch isn't quite as exciting, but the tier 1 upgrade is actually pretty useful. It grants 2 points of energy recovery, which is a nice bonus and only requires the basic tools. For the tier 2 upgrade, you can choose between 20% more psi protection or a second generation night vision device. The tier 3 upgrade unlocks the third generation night vision device, which is honestly a very good one. However, you will need to reach Pripyat first and obtain the calibration tools to be able to install the third generation night vision device. To be honest with you guys, night vision devices have never been a huge deal for me, so I don't consider this upgrade as essential. If you follow my recommended recommended upgrade path, you will end up with over 70% chemical protection, which is amazing for hunting artifacts and chemical anomalies, around 34% radiation protection, 2 points of energy recovery, and the best night vision device available in-game. On top of that, you will still have 65% armor and 50% side protection, making this helmet amazing for every situation. Fully upgrading the S.T.A.L.K.E.R M12 helmet will cost around 9,500 rubles. Of course, if you don't care about the night vision upgrades, you can save 6,000 rubles and still end up with an excellent helmet. Even though the S.T.A.L.K.E.R M12 helmet is fantastic, there is still one helmet left that in my opinion manages to be better. At number 1 we have the tactical helmet. This masterpiece has almost the exact same default stats as the S.T.A.L.K.E.R M12 helmet, only slightly worse when it comes to armor and psi protection. It has around 60% armor instead of 65%, and roughly 41% psi protection instead of 50. And there are two amazing ways to get this helmet. The first one is completely free, kinda. You need to travel to Jupiter for 2000 rubles, climb on the top of the cement factory and grab it. And you can do this in the first 5 minutes of your playthrough. The second option requires a bit of money, exactly 40,000 rubles, for our favorite smuggler, Nimble. If things go right, you will get this helmet together with the best early to mid-game suit in the game, the CS3A body armor. And by the way, if you haven't watched my armor ranking video for Stalker Call of Pripyat yet, I highly recommend checking it out after this one. Now let's take a look at the upgrade branches. As always, there are two of them. The first branch starts with a tier 1 upgrade that increases chemical and radiation protection by 10%. At tier 3 you can choose between 20% more psi protection or 20% more radiation protection. Your tier 3 option depends on what you picked in tier 2. If you choose the psi protection upgrade, you will unlock an upgrade that increases chemical protection and radiation protection by 30%. If you choose the radiation protection upgrade, however, you will unlock a tier 3 upgrade that increases 30% psi protection. Both tier 3 upgrades in this branch can only be installed by Novikov again. Now the second upgrade branch is where things get really interesting. The tier 1 upgrade gives you 2 points energy recovery, which is already pretty nice. The tier 2 upgrade adds a second generation night vision device. But the real game changer is the tier 3 upgrade. It can only be installed by Nitro at the Yanov station after he receives all 3 types of tools. So you usually get access to this upgrade around the time you reach Pripyat. This upgrade installs an infrared scanner that allows you to see nearby enemies on your minimap. So that's literally a wall hack. Honestly, I think that feature alone is enough to beat the S.T.A.L.K.E.R M12 helmet, let alone the fact that you can obtain the tactical helmet almost at the start of the game for free, or together with an excellent suit for a reasonable price. And because of that, it's pretty hard to not put this helmet at number 1. If you follow the recommended upgrade path, you will end up with around 40% radiation protection, around 50% chemical protection, also around 60% psi protection, 2 points of energy recovery, a second generation night vision device, and most importantly, the infrared scanner. Fully upgrading the tactical helmet will cost about 12,600 rubles. Which is definitely expensive, but in my opinion, absolutely worth it. So and that's basically it. As always, feel free to share your thoughts on this ranking in the comments down below. Stay tuned for the next season of my ranking series after the Cost of Hope DLC drops for Stalker 2. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I will see you in the next one.